everyone, it's Dom, and today I'm talking about 3D printing. Now, to get a successful 3D print, you need to make sure your bed is level. That's the number one rule. A lot of people fall down at this particular point and they will use hairspray and adhesive and 3D lac and all sorts of other things. I've used them as well, but during my course of experience, I found that if you have a level bed, you don't really need any of those things, providing you're printing in PLA, of course. Now, I've used ABS briefly, but to be honest, I don't have the facility to print ABS because you need to have extremely high temperatures of the bed, and I will go into more into that later. I'm just doing it with PLA. Now, on smaller beds, they're pretty easy to level, so once you've got it level, your PLA will stick to the bed as it goes round and it's fine. However, as your bed gets bigger, so if you go and buy a bigger model, you go and trade in your small one. Like for me, for example, what I did is I went and I started off with a little 1/2 i3 duplicator plus, and that bed is not very big, so it was a beginner kind of model to get into the 3D printing area, if you like, and I found it easy to level. The only thing that used to annoy me is that if I wanted to print a big model, I'd have to split it into different parts and then have to glue them together later on, or weld them together with a 3D pen, one or the other. Now I wanted to make an Iron Man bust, and because I'm not the biggest of people, I could make a bust, a front and a back, in one piece on a CR105S because that's got a larger print area. The pitfall of that is that your bed needs to be completely level, because if it's not, you're going to end up with a fail print, a lot of wasted time and a lot of wasted material. Now, there are things supposedly to combat this. You can get an auto level sensor, which is what I've got, but it still requires a bit of fiddling about, so it's not plain sailing. Also, a lot of the CR10s or the newer ones, and probably some of the newer models, all come with filament detectors, which is, it's okay, but I wouldn't say it's the be all and end all, because what ends up happening is, depending on where you buy your filament, you can still run into problems. For example, your nozzle may get clogged, or alternatively, I've noticed with some of the 3D filaments, as they reach the end of the reel, the end of the actual filament itself is put through a hole on the spool, and it's secured down with a little bit of tape. Now the problem with that is that your printer is trying to pull the filament through, but the tape is holding it in place, so nothing's getting pulled through. The filament detector is still showing that there's filament inside the detector, so as far as that's concerned, there's still stuff flowing. So your nozzle's trying to print and it's going, but there's nothing coming out, and at the end of it you've got half a model because of this stupid problem. I haven't quite learned how to resolve it. Nowadays I tend to just keep an eye on the spool holder and see how much I've got left on it and try and guesstimate if it's going to be enough to complete a model, and if not, I would simply just take it off, pause my print and put a new spool holder in and feed all the filament through before it has an opportunity to run out, which is probably the best way of doing things. Now, aside from that, like I said, I'm not a 3D modeler, but a lot of the models you can find online at Thingiverse, where people have already done a lot of stuff, so you don't have the headache of that, and you can use those models to, you can use the files, if you like, to print the models on your 3D printer, which is great. However, I suggest that if you do that, you do and display it, you give credit where credit is due, because if you didn't do it, it's not really fair that you take the credit, right? It's just a moral thing. I'm not going to take credit for somebody else's work. The only time I've had to do something for myself with regards to 3D modeling is when I was forced to, and it didn't look pretty. What happened was, we've got an Audi TT, a Mark II 2007, and in the door area on the passenger side there is a woofer behind the panel, if you like, and that woofer was fine because there was a rip in it. It had blown. So I thought, oh yeah, simple job, all I need to do is take the door panel off, take the woofer out and put a new one in. Well, when I took the door panel off, the actual woofer that Audi provide is in a moulded bracket which can't really be broken off, if you like, and the speaker is attached in there. There's no way of separating the speaker from that bracket. So you've got two options. You can either go to Audi and buy another, speaker, if you like, which I don't think are that great anyway, or you can go to Halfords and get some if you like, adapters that will fit in, but they're never going to be exactly the right thing. They might work, but it's, you know, it, I mean, to be honest, I saw them online. They looked a bit flimsy, so I didn't bother. um, Obviously there's the alternative for going to the scrapyard and stuff, but I tend not to do that. I just think it's more hassle than it's worth. um, what I did do is I took the speaker from the Audi, which was in the bracket, and I drew round it on a bit of paper. Then from there, I took the speaker that I was going to put in, which was a Alpine. I think it was an SD. It's an old speaker, but it's a fairly decent wattage. It's a lot smaller in physical dimensions, but wattage, it produces a hell of a lot more sound. It's a lot more bassy as well. So I drew around that because that was on a bracket as well, like, you know, the brackets that you get on top of the speaker that hold it into place. So I drew around that, drew around the original Audi one, and then I used Blender. Not Blender, sorry. I used 3D Builder to extrude up the original bracket along with the speaker that I just drawn round, and then I just mesh mixed it together, and I just physically measured the dimensions of how, you know, wide the actual bracket was. Once I knew how wide it was, I kind of matched that up, and then I sent it to my 3D printer, and it didn't come out great, but it came out okay. When I say it didn't come out great, I mean it's a bit rough around the edges, but one of the holes line, well, two of the holes line up, to be honest. One of them didn't. I had to re-drill it, but not sure why that occurred. I probably miscalculated, hence why that occurred. But the bottom line is it's secure and it holds my speaker in place, and I didn't have to pay for anything. Plus I got a bit of fun messing around in Blender doing that, and Mesh Mixer. So it wasn't Blender, sorry, it was Mesh Mixer, which is a different piece of software. I also use NetFab. You're going to see a bit of that later on as well. The model we're going to look at today is a Superman model. It's a Man of Steel. So I'm going to head over to the computer in a moment, and you're going to see me sitting down, and you're going to see my screen, so you can see what I put in and how I do it. Now this is a bit of a long video. As you can see, it's already quite long, but if you stick with it, what you're going to find throughout this video is the steps that I go through. Now I haven't labeled them, I'm just basically telling you as I go along. And also you're going to see the result of how the 3D printer works and how it prints up in layers, etc. And how I take that from what it is to producing, you know, a more finished piece. So I'm going to be air spraying it as well, so you'll see that as well, along with a bit of primer from a spray can, because that seems to be working quite well, which I got primer for, like, I think it's about £6 or something, 5 or 6 quid. I got it from Wilco actually. So yeah, we're going to give it a go. We're going to see what happens, and yeah, hope for the best. See you in the next room. Okay, here we go. The go-to place is Thingiverse, and that usually has a load of design. People always upload to there, and you can get some really good stuff on here. I'm gonna go for a Superman figure. Not a DC fan that much, but you know, I've oh, look at that Clark Kent's head. That looks pretty decent actually. That's quite interesting. I'm mainly a Marvel boy, but let's see how we go. I'm interested in this as well. Christopher Reeve's head. That does actually look really cool. Looks really good. Let's go and have a look at it. There's only two. Does look really good. I don't know if I'll be able to paint it like that, but that looks really well done. I'm actually going to download that for a later date, so let's save it. But that's not the one I'm going to print today. The one I want today is, let's put in superheroes. Superheroes. See what comes up. There was a Superman statue that I really liked. It was really well done, but I can't seem to find it now. Let's go through it. Hawkman and a Hawkwoman. Okay. Let's see what else we've got. Yeah, as you can see, there's like literally loads and loads of different. Well, there's not just superheroes you can get on here. You can get different types of models. So yeah, let's have a look and see. Statue. Right. Obviously there are other sites that you can go to download stuff. But I tend to use Thingiverse a lot because most of the stuff I find is on Thingiverse. I really don't know where the statue's gone. It was around here somewhere. Let's have a look and see. Yeah, this is not great. You know what? Let's open up a new tab. 3D printable. Superman statue. Let's try that. Right, I think it might be this one over here, to be honest. Let's see what this is. It's Yegi. Ah, I think this was the one. So, okay, so it wasn't Thingiverse, it was Yegi. Ah, it was Thingiverse. Yeah. That does look pretty decent. Let's have a look around here. I'm considering putting Clark Kent's head on there rather than have this guy. It does look pretty good. Let's have a look and see. Right, I do like the look of that, but I'm thinking the Clark Kent head might go better. Let's download the files anyway. Okay, let's see if we can mesh mix Clark Kent's head on there and see how it goes. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to print that, but I just want to have a look what it looks like. So if we just go into mesh mixer, what I'm going to do, the files that I've just downloaded, okay, this is a free piece of software. The files that I've just downloaded, I'm going to, you have to extract them because they're in zip format. So extract all. Well, why is it not showing? Let's just double click on it. Right, looks like I've there we go. Right, extract to, close. Yeah, Man of Steel 1. I'm going to extract that. Let's OK it. And let's go for Christopher Reeve. Where was that? If we go downloads again. I'll open it up here. I'm going to extract that as well. Okay, I agree. Yeah. Okay. So, all we need to do is I'm going to close down this because we don't really need to see that. What I am going to do is import. Let's find what we downloaded just now, and we want Superman, Man of Steel. I suppose it would help if I put this in the right spot. Man of. Okay, Man of. Alright, why can't we find it here? Right. Well, it's definitely a file. I think it's because we're gone for open rather than import. So let me try import. Let me go back a second. Or maybe I did go to import in the first place. There we go, Superman, Man of Steel. Let's call him up. Superman with stand. Right, that's Superman with hole. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do the stand and the hole as two separate things. If we have a look at that, that does look pretty good. I just want to see how he's. Yeah, I think I'm going to do them as separate pieces, to be honest. Stand for hole. So let's have a look. Because if we do it all as one piece, there'll be a lot of excess material. have a look at the stand again. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to go Superman with Hull. Right. And I could really print it in one piece, to be honest, but I'm just going to be extra. Looking at the face on here, it's supposed to be based on Henry Cavill. It's all right, I suppose. Let's have a look and import. We'll go append, because if you replace, you'll just wipe out what you've already got. So we're going to append this, and I'm really going to go for downloads here. I could actually do the head separately. Let's open up Christopher Reeve's head. There we go. Yeah, let's just open that up. Oh, it's a nice size as well. Right, let's move this up. So all I'm going to do is click on that. I'm going to go to edit, transform. Let's bring him up. Let's bring him, put it in the right way. You know, I grew up with Christopher Reeve as being Superman. Rest in peace, Christopher Reeve. So, you know, he's kind of the Superman that I remember. Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking Henry Cavill, but you know, when you're my age, you kind of realise who you prefer as Superman, and Christopher Reeve was the one. Although it does look quite good having a bigger head than a body, because it kind of makes it look a bit more, you know, caricature-like. I do like that. Let's see if we can. Let's have a look and see if we can scale him down. Because we do want to have. It's really. I do actually like that with the bigger head. Let's scale it down to make it look in proportion, because I'm trying to do it properly here. So let's scale him down. Oh no, wait, don't want it like that. I could actually do that. Bring him in. Bring him up. Let's bring it aside and see if we can give him the same kind of proportions. Well, you know what? Let's delete that for a minute. Oh, I can't delete it from here. I have to do it from here. Let's delete that. Trash. Right. Let's just get. I'm going to get Henry Cavill's head and Christopher Reeve's head as well. Let me just open that again, because I just messed up by trying to scale it in that. It could be coming out the wrong way, so wrong size and that. Right, let's import again. Append as well. Let's try and do the two heads. Downloads. Christopher Reeve. And that's Superman, Man of Steel. There he is. And files, and we want the torso head. Right, it's just so that I can bring this across. Edit, which I don't real transform. Let's bring him down. They should have really done give me the dimensions on it. Now I'm going to just have to work with this again, which really defeated the object of me just doing what I did. Let's bring him across here. I'm tempted to make two. One with the caricature like this, and one with the like that. It's like a bobblehead. It looks quite cool. I think that looks really, really good, to be honest. If I drop that down here, like that, let's have a look underneath what we've got. I don't know, I just kind of like the look of it. I do like the look of that. It's like he's wearing a mask. do really like the look of that. Let's see if we can scale him. The only other way I know of scaling is to use netfab, and that way it might go into proportion. Let's see if length, width, a scale. Let's tick scale. Let's see what happens if I do that now. Ah, that's kind of what we want, don't we? But that's scaled too much now. Let's scale this out. Okay, let's scale it up. Yeah, this is what I want to scale. So I've basically just clicked on the S over here. See that? S, and that transforms it to do everything, so that it doesn't go out of proportion when you scale it down. It still looks about right. Right, let's scale it across. Why is it not scaling across? See, that looks much better. Or maybe not. Okay. Let's take that out. There we go. But it does look a bit like squashed. Now this just looks too big again, so bring him in. Bring him up. Okay. And maybe bring him in here because that's just stretched. Now it just looks too small. But his head is in proportion. So let's just make him a little bit bigger. Make it a little bit down. A little bit outside. And a little bit wide across. Let's bring him down and see what happens. Does it look right? Not quite. But you know what? It's... I don't know, I just think it just looks good. Let's see. That's probably about right there, to be honest. It's just a little bit in here. Yeah, I would say that's not too far off the mark. Let's bring him down. Probably could get away with that. Okay, maybe up slightly. That's a little bit small. It just might be the face of his head, to be honest. Let's see what we've got. Enable snapping. Don't want to snap. Ah, that's what it was. It's because I had snapping involved. Right, okay. So make sure you unclick enable snapping, because then you can kind of scale it to what you want to do. So I would say this needs to be a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger. To be honest, I'm just going to bring him up now. I'm actually going to just take off Henry's head here. So let's go for Superman with his hole. Let's get the select tool, and we are going to select his head, and we are going to get rid of it. Oh, maybe not the neck. So Control Z will undo it. Let's delete that. There he goes, and I might just keep the back part. It looks like a Demogorgon. Alright, okay. Let's just let's make the brush a bit small, because the brush is kind of big, which is causing an issue. So let's take that off there. Okay, maybe not. Let's see what we got here. Delete. Okay, maybe a bit more. A bit bigger. going on here? Okay, here we go. Delete that. Okay, the bottom line is looking at this, we want to fit the head over here. So let's see if our Christopher Reeve head is going to slide up there. Let's have a look. Edit. Transform. Bring this up. Bring it across. Let's have a look. Bring him forward. Back. Up a bit probably. There we go. Looks like he's got quite a long neck, to be honest. But let's come out of that a minute. See how that looks. Okay, so the head needs to go back, to be honest. Let's edit this a minute. Bring this slightly forward so I can see. Right, as you can see here, if I go to the back, that actually works quite well. But the only problem over here is there's a hole there. So what I'm going to do, I might just put Henry's head back on him and then just put this over Henry's head. Let's see. You know, let's see what happens if I was to do that. If I was to put this over Henry's head, how would that work? Christopher Reeve. Edit, transform. Would it work better, or does it work better without having that there? Because what I could do is if I get it into the right spot, which is here, there's a way of doing this, which is probably going to work out better. Yes, I've got the idea. Yeah, we're going to do it this way. So what I can then do, let's go back to Superman with a hole and Control Z everything. Edit. In fact, it's probably better to just, hold on a minute, take him off and import it again. Append. Superman with hole. No. Right, what I'm going to do again, we'll take Christopher Reeve's head. We are going to move him around. I don't know why I just didn't do this in the first place. Edit. Transform. Let's move him about. We'll move him up. Across. And down. Maybe up a bit. I'm trying to just match it up the best I can. So it's going to have to go here. Up slightly. Bring him in. So he's there. Nose is roughly about the same spot. Down. There. How are we looking here? Maybe a trifle to the right. Yeah, let's have a look around there. Right, okay. So now that's roughly where it should be, okay? So to get rid of Henry's head, all I have to do is go into the Superman with the hole and just select and literally just take out the bits that we don't want to see. So all the bits that are extruding coming out is what we're going to get rid of. to make him look the way you want him to look. Delete. Boom. So let's make that a little bit bigger, because I'm not really too bothered at the moment. I'm just taking out what needs to be taken out, if you like. And then we take this out here. Oh, Control Z. No, we don't want that. Select. Let's go back in here. Okay, let's come back out. Delete. We just want Christopher Reeve's head, so no Henry Cavill. And that should leave me with the neck in place as well, roughly. Right, looking at that, it's just make it a little bit smaller. Just the chin. Oh, Control Z. Let it transform. Maybe a little bit smaller. I just want a little bit of chin off. Probably won't make a difference when you're printing, but it's so small. Just looks big over here right now. No, I think edit undo. We don't want to do that. Right, let's bring him. Christopher Reeve. Let's make these guys. Right, hold on. Oh, why is that gone? Right. Undo. Look, now we've got. Okay, that's it. I wanted that back. I did not want to lose that. To be honest, I can probably get away with this. Let's see if we can move the head around a bit more. Christopher Reeve. Edit. Transform. Let's move him back a tad bit so that his ears cover. A down bit. There, that is pretty much where you need to be, minus the chin. So let's get rid of his chin over here. Don't need that. Maybe a little bit bigger. Because Christopher Reeve don't have a chin like that, does he really? Oh wait. I need a blooming. I should really use my Wacom tablet. There, look, see, that looks much better. Making sure I've still got that there. Get rid of this bit here. And this part here. Delete. I think this is looking good. Oh, delete that up there. How are we looking on this side? Well, I don't think this is looking too good there. Right, I just deleted something I shouldn't have done. Right. Okay. Don't really need this. Select. Just make it smaller. Delete. Okay. And here. Delete. Okay. What else do we have here? chin up here, but can't really delete that because that's going to go down there. Select. Everything else done alright. Bring that in. Right. Okay. Right, hold on a second. Escape out of that. Select. We want to just get rid of this. Leave his ears alone. Maybe just a chin bit there. Okay. Right, I think that's looking pretty okay, to be honest. It's probably not going to be perfect, but I think that does look quite good. If I look over here, let's go in here, see what we've got here. What is this? That's just a little bit of chin. So if I select allow back faces, that should in theory let me just select that. Yeah, see? I'm hoping that's not made a hole. Oh, it has. Right. To be honest, I think I can probably sand those out if need be. I'll just use some sandpaper on it. Okay, I'm not happy with that. How's that? Let's come. Just go here. Yeah, so it's just. I wish I just had an eraser I could just use. That looks pretty good to me. It's not bad, you know. Okay, it could be better, I suppose, but it's not bad. It's irritating me, that is. Right, let's bring Superman with a hole. Let's bring him down. In fact, let's bring both of them down. So I highlight both of them. Transform. That means that when I move them, they both the figure, the head should move. I'm zooming in here, see if we can do something here. Just maybe I can get this round. Select. Oh, we don't want to do this for reset, so we want the Superman hole. Otherwise we're deleting the wrong thing. Select. If I do that, that might just delete it. Let's go a little bit bigger. Perhaps I'll just do a circle around it. It's not letting me do it. And it looks like there's a bit of a hole there. Right, we've got rid of that. We might be able to get rid of this as well. There we go. Looking not good. That is definitely not good, because that's taken out half of that. So Control Z, 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 Z. Let's see what we can do here. So as you can see, it's quite time consuming. It's not the best thing to do this stuff. Maybe drawing holes around it. You know what, there's little bits here and there, I'm sure we can fill them in later. I'm just going to try and I'm hoping this is not going to do what it just did on the other side. Okay, that is still in one piece. Let's have a look here. gonna go there. Or maybe, yeah, no, should have done that. Half of it came out on the other side. So I'm probably going to be left, to be honest, with this as it is here. See if I can select this stuff. If I can, that's good. If I can't, well, I'm probably not going to try and get rid of it. I can't understand why I can't select that, to be honest. I think that might be alright, because it's all going to be one colour anyway. So we come out. If I go to there, like that, and have a look. It doesn't look all bad, really. I think that'll print okay, to be honest. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge the Superman with the hole and the Christopher Heaves head by right-clicking. Wait, I just basically right-click and hold Control down. So hold Control down, right-click, and then there is the option to combine, which now makes that head and that body one. And then I'm simply going to export it. Let's have a look. Export. And we're going to export it as an STL, and I'm going to call it Superman Christopher Reeve, Superman CR. Save it. Once that's done, I'm going to simply close this. I'm not going to save any more work there. I might make a, as you can see, I've got my Logitech camera open here. Let's go into Start. I'm going to go into Ultimaker, Cura. Open that up. Here we go. Right, and I'm simply going to import, or open file should I say, and go to downloads, find Superman CR, which is here, bring that into Cura. Now, as you can see, this big box over here is the size of my printer. I have a 500 by 500 500 build area because I have a CR105S, so that is relatively small. I can scale this up if I wanted to, but you know what, I'm going to keep it here. It's already going to take like 10 hours and 45 minutes to do, and that's at a layer height of 0.3. I'm considering at 0.3, what you really need is, it's the detail. You're going to lose some of the detail. So I'm probably going to make him a little bit bigger. Let's scale it up a little bit. Or should I make him bigger? If I make him bigger, it means I've got to make the stand bigger, and I'm not sure how much bigger I can do that. Plus, at the moment, he looks like he's being held on by a cape. I am considering. Should I make him bigger? Let's import the stand as well. Open files. Let's find the Superman. Man of Steel. We want the folder, which is that one. Let's open that. Go for the files, and let's go for the stand for whole. And the rod. Okay, so the rod and the stand is separate. Let's import both of these in. Open. Okay, because if we make him bigger, then everything else is going to become bigger. So if I scale these guys, I need to scale them as one. Let's try this out. Yeah, so that's 40 now. It's including stand. Let's scale this up. So if I just simply hit right, okay, can't do it like that. Right, why won't it let me click? It looks like it's right. Here we go. Right, okay, so you can only scale one at a time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the scale button here, and I'm going to make him bigger. To be honest, over here I'm actually thinking I might, let's see, because I can't really, let's have a look, where the hell's the hole? Is the hole under the cape? Because I can't, oh there it is, it's right there. See it? There's the hole there. So, in all fairness, I could really bring this across. Oh shit, I've just scaled it. Let's not do that. Right, I'm going to have to use netfab, because at least with netfab we can scale all the parts as one. Look, that's absolutely gigantic. Right, okay. Delete. We don't want that. Okay, so delete. In there, let's go. Let's open up netfab. Auto this netfab, if I've got it. Okay, maybe I don't have that one. I have another version of it somewhere. Let's try that. Cancel. Cancel. I might, you know what, should I just leave him at that speed? I could just leave him at that size. I'm going to leave him at that size for now. Let's delete all this. Let's just close this down. Reset all model positions. Arrange a clear build plate. Reload all models. Now, what I tend to do when I 3D print is, you can 3D print everything at once, but because my build plate is so large, what I find is sometimes, oh, okay, well, to be honest, not sometimes, most of the time, if I use, or I get the center of the if I put my model that I'm going to print in the middle of the build plate, and I level just that, it's fine. But if I've got more than one model and I put it on the build, on different areas of the build plate, sometimes it can lead to problems, because even though I have an auto leveling sensor, for some reason it catches sometimes and it does some really bizarre stuff. So I prefer to print one model off at a time. So I'm probably going to do Superman first, and then I'll print the stand after. So let me just clear this. I'm going to just close this for a minute. Right, so Cura. So we open up Cura. I'm going to open my Superman model. So Superman CR is what we're looking for, and it's in downloads. I'm going to place it here. I'm going to open it. It's already been placed in the middle. Now, what you've got to remember with this sort of thing is you will want to have supports, because if you don't have supports when you 3D printing, what will happen is it will start printing the foot, for example, there, and there'll be no support here. So as it goes up, it will try and print this other foot, and there's nothing to support it, so you'll just get a big mess while it's printing. So what we're going to do from this point is, it looks like it's pretty solid. I've got 15% infill, which is pretty good. I'm gonna try and go a little bit slower. It's gonna take more time. I'm gonna go for a normal 0.15 and see how long that will take. Keep. let's see how long it will take. So this gives you a rough estimate of how long it's going to take for the object to be printed. So we're going to have a look and see. 17 hours 44 minutes. I'm going to try and go for a quicker print than that. I'm going to go for the draft quality, to be honest. Let's try draft. Let's see how long that takes. So draft quality. "15 hours 16 minutes. Can probably live with that. Let's just make sure we've got everything else. So fill gaps between wall, sharpest corner, yeah, triangles, blah blah blah. Yeah, these are all the settings. I'm going to be using PLA, so the settings are fine. Enable retraction, retracted layer change. I am going to leave that as that is. There's something called Z-Hop, which I like. Got to find it first. Z seam alignment. There we go. I've already clicked it. So Z-Hop when retracted. Always click this now. Whenever a retraction is done, the build plate is lowered to create clearance between the nozzle and the print. Because otherwise, what I've noticed happening before is your nozzle's travelling and it will hit what it's just printed, and in some cases it can knock it off the build plate, and then you've got a big mess and a whole lot of wasted time, which you don't really want. So yeah, we're going for draft. I'm going for draft quality. Should be alright. If I went for 0.3, I'd get it done in 10 hours. But then the detail on the face will be less. I think 0.2 is okay, to be honest. I could go for 0.3. Let's have a look what it says. Layer height. How is pretty slow, prints in high resolution. Okay, so we'll stick with 0.2. I'm going to go for the 15 hours. Let's see how it's 127 gram. All right, let's try 0.3 again. I know it's 10 hours. I just want to extra fast. I'm just going to keep that for a minute. Let's have a look at the slicing. I might just try it in 0.3 and see what it comes out like. Because it's not like it's a tiny model. If it was a tiny model, I would say you need to be 0.15 or 0.2, but it's not exactly a small model, and you're only using an extra 127, 28, 29, 30, 31, 35 grams more to get it done 5 hours quicker, which to me I think is probably the better thing to do. And you've even got a 15% infill, which is great. Obviously I'm going to have to paint this afterwards, so we just want to make sure that it's got supports now. Infill support. Okay. Okay, no, that's fine. Support, yeah, generate support everywhere. Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. I'm pretty happy with that. I just want to see what the infill density is. Support density. That's alright. The higher or the more the support density that you put in, the harder the support is. So that basically means, you know, at 2 for example, you should just be able to peel it away with your hands. Otherwise, if you put too much material on and you try and peel it off, sometimes on smaller models you can break the actual model while you're doing it if you're not careful. So what I'm now going to look is I'm going to go to the preview section, and this is going to show you how the model is built up. So as you can see, there's a raft at the bottom. So if I scroll this down to there, it will start by printing a raft to make sure it stays into place, and then it will slowly bring the supports up, and you'll start to print everything. There we go. And once that's done, there we go, we will have the model printed, and I can tear away the supports and I will have Superman. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to save it to the removable drive. In the computer I've got an SD card, a micro SD card, which I will take out of the computer and put into my printer, and I'll be able to read the files from there, which I'll show you. This monitor section here is usually if the computer was plugged directly in to the, well, sorry, sound like a robot there. The monitor section is if the computer was connected directly via USB to the printer, then you'll be able to see exactly in real time where your print is, how far it's done, etc, etc. I tend not to connect it directly to the printer, and the only reason I do that is because depending on what printer you've got, for example, when I started out I had a Wanhao 3D printer, and it didn't, you know, if the power got cut for any reason, you know, maybe you walked, or you accidentally unplugged it by tripping over a wire, I'm just saying, you'd have to start the whole print again, and all those hours that you would have all those hours you'd have had printing, it would be wasted, along with a load of material and time. With the CR10, if there's a power failure, it has some sort of onboard memory, so all it will do is it will stop printing at that particular point, and it keeps it in memory, so then when the power comes back on, you can resume it and you can go from where you started from. I've also got a filament detector, but that's a bit hit and miss, and I'll tell you about that a bit in a short while. But at least with this, if the computer crashes or anything, because it's not connected to the printer's going to keep going. If I had this connected to the printer and it crashed, it's likely the printer would stop. So, because all the data is coming from the computer, so it makes sense to just do it on a micro SD card, put it in there, and then you don't have to have the computer on. Otherwise you're using twice as much electricity as well. I don't know how much that is, but I'm just saying. So I'm now saving to removable drive. Drive E. So this model is looks like 128.4 by 115.5 by 195.9. So it's yeah, it's not massive by any means, but it's big enough. I think it's a decent size, especially since I've already done an Iron Man, an Iron Man Hulkbuster, which is absolutely, well, it's used. It's about 16.5 inches. I was looking at the price for them, and these models, the 16.5 inch one, goes for around about £1,200. I would never ever pay that sort of money for a model because A, I don't have that sort of money, and B, it's a collectible, but I just don't see the point in spending that sort of money unless you've got loads of it lying around. Right, okay, so here we go. So I've saved it onto my SD card, so I'm going to unplug the SD card because it is now, well, it will be safe to remove in a moment. I've already saved it. I'm sure it said safe to remove. Saving to removal. Okay, I'm going to hit eject first. Now, there we go. And if we look at the bottom left, it says CR10S5 Superman CR. So when I plug this into my printer, that is what I'm going to be looking for. So we can now close this down. Okay, so printing that Superman was not plain sailing. I discovered about 5 hours into the print that the support for the right arm had come off. Well, it had not come off, but it was moving around, which meant that every time the nozzle was trying to put an extra layer down to build up the arm, it was in a different place and it was looking a bit of a mess. But the other parts of the model seemed to be okay. So what I ended up trying to do is I got my 3D pen and used that to try and secure the support that was loose to another part of plastic. So it was like welding it together. So I did that and it seemed a lot more sturdier. And then I tried to weld in place another point at the top of the actual support as well. But I think I welded it in the wrong place, because when the final model did finish, um, the right arm was all messed up. So what I ended up doing is taking the super. I didn't want to stop the print, obviously, because we'd spent so much time doing it. But what I did is I took that print off and had a good look at it. And after removing all the supports, I also found that the head, the back of the head, where I'd taken off the Henry Cavill head and stuck the Christopher Reeve one on, when I did it in Mesh Mixer, it didn't. I didn't mesh it properly. So the result was I had the front was fine, but the back, there was a gap in Christopher Reeve's neck that led to the head because it looked like a mask. So I thought, well, that's not going to do. So what I did is I went back in and I went into NetFab, which is what you can see on screen now, and I simply took the model that I just printed. So I've just been opening and messing about with it. So I'll add part. Oh, here we go. Man of Steel files. Henry Cavill one, head. That's the one. So I simply pulled up the Henry Cavill file, which is here. Well, it's not actually Henry Cavill, it's modelled on him. Now, this particular model was done by some bloke on Thingiverse. In fact, I'll give you his name because you should always give credit to the designer where it's due, and that is what I'm going to do. So if I go here and I type in Thingiverse, and I go in and I type in Man of Steel, it was this model here. It was originally done last year, and it was done by somebody called Spooks Doctor, who is Gabriel Anderson, whoever that may be, a student or engineer, novice, but you know what, for a novice I think he did a really good job. I can't do modelling, at least not just yet. I want to learn how to do it, but I've been playing about with it, but I'm not competent yet. So that was the Man of Steel model, and then the head, Christopher Reeve, was done by, when it decides to work, and this is supposed to be a fast internet connection, here we go, Master Clip. And if I go into Master Clip, he's got a page on CG Trader, and he's from Brazil, and he's an intermediate 3D design skill level, which will explain, because that Christopher Reeve head looks really good. It just, if I should have done it bigger, because doing it, rescaling it to fit that particular Superman made it very difficult to paint, and there was lots of detail that I feel got missed. If I'd made the model bigger, it would have taken longer to print, but I think the detail would have been there. Plus my paint on this, my painting skill on this wasn't great. I've done a lot of better painting, but because it was so small, I found it difficult. I was basing it on a 1970 Christopher Reeve, and when I went to paint the utility belt, I tried going with the yellow and directly spraying it onto the 3D printed Superman, but it just didn't look right. I think for that sort of thing you need to put a separate utility belt on, otherwise it just looks a bit naff. So I just did away with the belt. Right, so those are the two guys, so thank you very much, guys, or whoever you are. And let's go back to this. So what I found out is this arm had messed up from here downwards, so I had no fist, no arm, and part of the muscle was missing. Also, the head at the back had a hole approximately here, going all the way through, so it just looked like he was necklace. So what I went and did is I simply used net fab here to cut roughly where it was on the actual model, which was approximately about there, and I hit cut and cut again. By doing that, it allows me to separate the two parts and put the Christopher Reeve head on top of the Henry Cavill. So I moved that across, so we've got the body now, and I've got a closed area there for when I want to put the head on. I then just went in and I added in the Christopher Reeve head, which is in desktop downloads. It's probably going to be up here somewhere. Here we go. Files, Christopher Reeve, and there it is there. And see, there's that like shape here. That's what happened. That's what printed out. When I removed the support, I was left with that gap. So all I did here is I brought this head over Henry Cavill's head. I've already scaled it down as much as I can, and let's move it across a little bit. There we go. A bit more maybe. His nose needs to be down a bit more, right? So yeah, that is pretty much how I did it. And if you look over here, it's got the dimensions 18, 35, 23, 31, 28, 11. If I click on Henry Cavill, it has the same dimensions roughly. Okay, maybe it doesn't. I'm going to go with the Henry Cavill dimensions, so that's 1816. So if I change that to 1816, so I go arrange, I go modify. Let's modify, here we go. Scale, and take off fixed scaling ratio, and I just change that to 1816. Then we go here, we find out what the Henry Cavill head is. 2385, 2799. So I do that for him. 2385 and 2799. So here, 2385 and 2799, and I hit scale. That brings it roughly to the size that will look okay when it's put on this model. Now what I then do is, now that I've got that into position, I will then take that into Mesh Mixer and take off Henry Cavill's head, which I'll show you, leaving Christopher Reeve underneath. Now with this, I'll give you an example. I'm not going to show you everything because it'll just, I've already done it and I didn't record it. What I did here is I simply did exactly the same thing. I use Z, clicked on this, and just cut it from where I needed it to be cut from, which was roughly about here. If I look there, yeah, it's roughly there. And if I hit cut, and I hit cut again, that allowed me to move it into different positions. So we have that. I basically cut it in X and cut it in Y as well, so that it just left the arm that I needed, and then I exported that as an STL file and put it into Ultimaker Cura, and then just printed it. And I printed the arm first, and once that had finished printing, I then went and printed the head. And although I could have printed it both at once, I did try, but the head kept messing up for some reason. It just, the minute it got halfway through, it just moved on the build plate for no apparent reasons, which means it wasn't sticking properly. Not sure why that was. I did 100% infill on that, and then I changed it down to like 30%, and I changed the resolution to 0.3 millimeters for less detail, but it was quicker because I was fed up after the first two failed prints of printing the head. I just thought sod this and put it to 0.3 millimeters. It was quicker and it just seemed to work. It was okay, but it would have been a lot better. Next time round, if I do a Superman, I'm going to make it bigger because it's far easier to paint and it will look better. So I'm going to close this down. I'm not going to save the changes because I've already saved them, and I'll just give you an example here. If I go into Mesh Mixer for that head, when it opens up, which is probably behind here, there we go. If I import and I put CR1, that was Christopher Reeve's head with the neck hole in. And if I go import and append, because we don't want to replace, we want to join it on. If I go to the Man of Steel, and I go to files, and I think it's HC1, here it goes here. No, that's where Henry Cavill's head is, and all I simply did is I just took the excess out by hitting select, making sure it's on Henry Cavill, and then just highlighting the areas that I wanted to remove so that it would leave Christopher Reeve's head. I'll just give you an example. Delete. Yeah, so you get the general idea. I did this all the way round. I'm not going to keep you on here while I do all of it because I've already done it. There's no need for me to do this again right now. But there, that's basically what happened. And that left the neck intact, and I merged it. I combined it by just joining those two, and then holding control down, selecting the two, and then pressing combine with the left mouse button, and that would make it into one. So that's now one solid object. Exported it as an STL, dropped it into Ultimaker, and then printed it, which is pretty much like this. So if I go into Ultimaker now, Cura 4.1.0, which is the latest, well, it was the latest one, it's probably a new one now. And I'll just run with the head, but if I just go there, file, open recent, I'm just gonna I'll just go to head 2. There, that's not the one that we want. But in general, I don't think I saved the file. Well, I probably did, but I can't remember where it was. But to save time, I'll just give you an example. So when it was there, imagine that's Christopher Reeve's head with the neck intact. So that's pretty much how I printed it. But the first two prints, for some reason, like I said, it kept falling off. So yeah, there you have it. On another note, now I've got a bit more experience than I previously had because I've been 3D printing quite a few things, which you're going to see shortly, because I've taken a couple of photos and I'll drop them in, and they include, the Hulk Buster, the Hulk, Rocket Raccoon, Groot, yeah, and now Superman. And I've also printed some brackets off to hold, like this for example, which holds my Xbox controller on the wall, along with the Oculus remote. This is for my headphones. I've got a couple of gun attachments there for the Oculus Touch. My Oculus Touch controllers are up here. All these brackets are 3D printed, but they'd already been put online by other people, so it was easy for me to do that. I'm still learning how to 3D model. I've been messing around, to be honest, with Blender, but I can't get my head around that completely at the minute. And Fusion 360 was just, it's supposed to be one of the easiest ones to learn. I was having trouble with that as well. So I actually tried out doing Danger Mouse on Medium on Oculus, which is physically sculpting a design in virtual reality. So I've got the Oculus Rift on, and I simply use the touch controllers like spray paints and molding icons, and literally it allows you to shape up what you want to. And I did a very flat Danger Mouse, so I know it's not great, but it's a start. I probably will show you that in one of the other videos. Just a tip on 3D printing: make sure your bed is absolutely level. I can't stress how important this is, because one of the main reasons for fail prints is an unlevel bed, and then the filament doesn't stick to it, and it messes your print up, and you've wasted time and material when you could have been resolved without, just by making sure the bed was level. When I first started doing this, I tried some really silly things. I did try hairspray. I tried 3D lac from Technology Outlets. I tried PVA glue as well. Now, none of these really works for me on my current printer. When I had the Wanahow i3, hairspray, 3D lac, they all seem to work just fine. But on the CR10, and I've got a 5S, so it's quite a big build area, 500 by 500 by 500 millimeters. I've got one of the CR10s up for sale at the moment, so I don't need two of them. So that's why I'm selling the other one. I've got a Borsillet glass, and I've stuck blue masking tape over it, and I've got an auto bed level sensor. Now, once you've got fiddled about with the auto bed level sensor and got it to the right height where the material starts to stick, you don't need hairspray, you don't need PVA, you don't particularly need anything. You just need to make sure the bed's level. If you make sure the bed's level, it will adhere. I run my bed at 60 degrees when I'm doing PLA. Probably when I had the Wanahow, my heater bed was broken, so I was printing cold and it was fine. The only thing I'm having trouble printing with at the moment is ABS, because for ABS you need to have not only a heated bed. I mean, my heated bed gets up to about 80 degrees, and some people still say it's a bit too cold, it needs to be about 100, but to be honest, with 80 degrees it was sticking to it. But what I was finding is the other temperature that goes around it as it builds the product up is not 80 degrees. It just cools down as it goes up, and this results in the thing just breaking off in the middle of its printing. So I'm contemplating sticking a big cardboard box over my printer and trying printing in ABS, but I haven't done it yet because I just like the aesthetics of PV, PLA. I did try PETG and I've probably got the wrong settings. I did try somebody's settings out on it and it looked awful. Cosmetically and aesthetically, the products I printed, which was a Hulk Buster, just the head and the torso, it just looked horrible, and I just thought I can't be using this, so I haven't used it. Then I tried doing a headphone stand in it, and that was very, very light and was just breaking off. So I've probably got the wrong settings, but I just don't like the filament, so I'm going to stick with PLA, and at some point probably go for ABS, but we'll just have to wait and see.